Hello and welcome to Panzer Garage. Today we're going to have a look at the Cyberhobby Super Value Pack StuG III Ostoff Charlie Delta with the 75mm or 7.5cm L48 gun. It comes with a bonus Panzer Grenadiers from the Viking Division from Hungary 1945. And it also comes with magic tracks, as we'll see later. It's kit number 9119, and you'll still find it available on the internet at various places, particularly on eBay, and you'll be able to track this down. Overall, a very good kit. I'm looking forward to building this. This will be my fifth StuG, and I find them a very interesting vehicle to do, particularly since they were the most produced German vehicle of World War II. However, what we're going to do is I'll just quickly show you a couple of other StuGs just to sort of put this into context from when we're talking, just from a historical perspective. We also have the StuG A, which we'll have a look at in the coming month or so. In this case, this is Wittmann's one. Only a few, 30, 35 or so Ostoff A's were produced with the L24 gun this is. Again, I'm looking forward to that. It had some slight modifications from the other one, particularly with some of the idler wheels being moved. So there's that kit that comes with the LAH division soldiers. You've also got another pretty good kit from Tamir. This is the StuG Ostoff G, the most widely produced StuG of the war. This is the Finnish army representation. There's about 52 odd sort of Ostoff G's sent over to the Finnish to fight against the Soviets. And again, from a colour scheme and just to have a different interesting StuG, this is not a bad one either. And again, keep your eye out for the review on this, which will be coming up as well. More recent Dragon kit, the Ostoff G with Zimmerit. Interestingly, again, I'll be reviewing this soon. The moulding actually includes the waffle Zimmerit coating on it, and again, I've had a look at it initially. It's very good. One of the best moulded kits I've seen, and again, I'm looking forward to building this little thing as well. And to complete my sort of collection on the StuGs, which I haven't got yet, is the StuG IV. I'm looking forward to building. This is an early production. Again, I'll review this in due course. And again, quite typical to Dragon, lots of parts, very good detail. However, we'll come back to the Ostoff CD. Very interesting history on this one. They never were actually produced with the L48 gun. And that actually came out in the Ostoff F. So this tank was retrofitted. So it's probably, in this case, an early CD, and then some stage during the war they've retrofitted various variants, including this one, and they've just taken the chassis and superstructure and just whacked in an L48 higher velocity gun, which is made use of the tank. This tank markings etc. from Cyberhobby is 1945, so obviously this one pretty much survived most of the war, and therefore the 48 gun makes sense that it's fitted. In terms of the StuG III itself, it served on all fronts during the war. In fact, I know when we talk about German vehicles, everyone gets excited about Tigers and Panthers. But StuG IIIs and the Panzer IV were the main vehicles from the war. The StuG III was produced more widely than any other vehicle, mainly because it was cheap to make, and it was a very good hitter and quite often used in conjunction with the Panzer IV. StuG III, interestingly, collectively they destroyed more tanks in the war than any other tank. And again, what helps them is that they're such a low target. One of the design principles was that the tank shouldn't be higher than an average soldier's height, so it's pretty close. So with that height and with the ability to camouflage it, it was quite a difficult target to hit. And it follows kind of Manstein's theory of how to use assault artillery. So these aren't actually Panzer Corps. These are artillery throughout the war. So again, it's quite often seen as the elite artillery from the German military. Originally, L48, who manufactured these, took the Daimler Benz sort of chassis from the Panzer III and built these prototypes and then built them up through there. Again, as I sort of said, they were originally used as an infantry support weapon for its direct fire role. However, as time went on, it was used to encounter enemy armour. Early on, some of the earlier versions encountered tanks and took them on and were quite successful, hence the adaptation of this, particularly with Soviet KV-1s and T-34s around. It was just a natural evolution to develop this to be able to go up against those tanks. In terms of variants, the variant A, when it came out, was a L24 gun. So the L24 gun was on the vehicle for quite a while. Low velocity, again purposely designed originally to support the infantry. In terms of the StuG C and D, there's about 50 odd C's produced and around 150 D's produced. They're pretty much the same vehicle. There's just some communication stuff inside that's a little bit different. So there wasn't many of these collectively produced. When we compare it to, say, the StuG G, where you had 8,500 roughly produced. In terms of the L48 gun, it actually came out in the StuG F model between March and September 1942. So naturally this vehicle has been retrofitted, which makes it an interesting model, because you don't, unless you scratch build something, quite often you don't see these type of models come out that have been sort of modified from the original. So now we'll have a look at the kit itself. What I've done is taken all the sprues out of its plastic, so I don't get that shine. So there you have the kit itself with the traditional Cyberhobby instruction leaflet. So we'll have a look at that instruction leaflet first. So there we have nice coloured leaflet, which is what often comes out, again following a dragon sort of design, where you've got down here the sprue layouts. Most of the parts are used except for a couple, and of course you've got two of some of these, so most of that second one, for example, is not used. It's mainly there because of the barrel and for some of the wheels. And you've got a little bit of photo etched parts here and here, which are mainly for the filters, the air intakes, and your holder for the antenna. And of course, good thing about this vehicle is that it comes with magic tracks, and again you can replace those if you want with full model or whatever, but again it's quite good compared to what you pay for this thing. Again, as we have a little bit of a look at this, we've got again the traditional sort of paint layouts, and the normal standard practice of following with the below chassis with the wheels, idlers, etc., and suspension, and then sort of building through the rest of the vehicle. The tracks, each to their own with using the magic tracks. I find that I generally find it very difficult to do the whole track and then sort of put it together. I find that some of the cement dries a little bit too quickly for me, so I tend to do half. Like I'll turn the vehicle upside down and do, say, half, and then I'll do the other half, or vice versa. I find that good for me, but you might find another option. Most of the time I tend to use Frill model tracks or AFV or something like that. But in this case, you know, I don't actually mind the Magic tracks. I think they're quite good and they're well moulded. You've got down here the rest of the superstructure to be dealt with, and then again superstructure and hatches on top, the guards, the gun, and as you can see, the gun is a two-piece. Again, it's up to you whether you want to replace it with an aluminium barrel. If you've got the money, why not? And the muzzle brake. However, I'm probably going to look at it doing it stock, see what it looks like after painting, and then I can always replace it later just because of how the model's been designed, and I'll whack another one in. Look, I find it's a bit of a hit and miss with these. With a bit of putty, a bit of sanding, generally you can make them pretty good anyway, just with a bit of extra work. Over the back here we've got the remaining part of the instructions, finishing off the finer detail of the tank and the extra parts, and again the other side of the guard as well. What I do like about Cyberhobbies is the paint chart at the back. I wish Dragon would adopt this. Colour print for your painting, in this case for Sam Landy's Prussian 1945, and also your Viking Division soldiers down the bottom there. Interestingly, some good cam to sort of play around with painting, and you know, reversible jackets. So it gives you a few options here to sort of look around, sort of do, and integrate that into any diorama that you've got. So overall I find Cyberhobby's instructions quite good, considering they're a little bit more basic vehicle than you get in the modern sort of Dragon kits. Although I've noticed that the Dragon instructions are improving a great deal over the earlier ones. Still I find them not in the same sort of league as companies like Tamiya, which have very good instructions. In terms of sprues, having a quick look at these now. We've got the sprues for our road wheels. Again, some good detail on these. Probably not as good as our latest sort of offerings from Dragon. However, I don't know if how well you can see this, but not too bad. Not too bad at all. Virtually no flash. A few pin marks, ejector pin marks to get rid of. However, that's no big deal. Some of these are more basic. You'll notice on here that the fire extinguisher, for example, that you'll see later on, is a bit more basic, and so is the jack. I'll show you those down later. You've got the exhaust pipes here. They're actually, you may not see that on here. They're a little bit rough. A little bit rough, but again, with painting and with rusting and all that sort of stuff, you can make them come up quite good. So again, I wouldn't worry about stuff like that. You can always have workarounds when you're looking at and painting and playing around with shading and colours and stuff like that. So these are, for the money you pay, these are quite good. In terms of the chassis, again, I find these quite good. Got a lot of detail on the bottom here. Hate to be a rivet counter, but you actually have some rivets on there as well if you're into that. What you do have though is very good weld seam marks that you can see on your vehicle. So they've done a good job in some of those areas, and again, depending on how you paint, you can bring some of those out. Your emergency hatch here needs to be removed. but in terms of moulding, this is as modern as it's going to get. Some of the superstructure here and hatches. Superstructure itself, again, very good. You'll see, you may not see it on here, but you'll see a fair few of the weld marks here, and in here you may not be able to actually see those, but there's weld marks all along inside the seam lines here, which are quite good. And you'll see on the hatches here, the actual hatch itself, very good detail. And again, when you end up painting this thing, it'll end up coming up quite nice. And I would not see the need for any sort of photo etched. Save you money. You do get a little bit of photo etched in there, and they'll be quite good, but I wouldn't bother about the rest. Again, weld lines, seams on here for when you do your joins. Again, quite good. Okay, the rest of the superstructure and mud flaps. Again, superstructure here quite detailed. I won't zoom in again, the detail's pretty much the same. We've got weld seams along here, your hatch details are all quite good. I don't see any need to get any extra benefit out of PE. I don't see that you're going to really get that. You've got your tools here are all quite well detailed. Got your binos, you've got your basic jack from Dragon. However, again, once it's painted, you won't really know that much of a difference unless you actually go looking for it. Your track, your mud flaps here are actually quite well detailed. Yeah, they're a little thick compared to, say, if you're using PE, but you know, I think they're quite nice. I will end up using those. I don't see the value in spending that extra money on PE when you've got moulds this good. So Dragon have done quite good in this, particularly since this is a Cyberhobby value kit. We spoke a little before on the barrel. That might be something that you might invest and spend a little bit more money in. These are going to be joined together, so you will end up with a seam line. You know, getting rid of it and then disguising it with a bit of paint might be enough. I'm going to try that before I buy a separate one. I end up ordering mine from Europe, so it might take quite a bit of a while to arrive down under here in Australia. But the rest of it, the casement here for the gun has a cast appearance to it, which is quite good. Again, particularly for the type of money you're spending on this thing, I find that this is quite good, and you end up with a spare one, which I may have a look at the Tamiya one and see if I can use that on there if the Tamiya one's not as good. In terms of the soldiers, got some extra little parts here, mainly for the soldiers, based on your weapons, and other small arms items like small arms tins, ammunition tins. You've got your K98s rifles there. You've got your MG 34 ammunition, which again you can end up bending if you need to. You've got your bipod closed and open, Panzerfaust. Got your MP40, another rifle, and a StuG 44 assault rifle, which is originally designed by Schmeiser. Very, very good weapon. so you can use those on your soldiers, and any spares can go into the spare parts. A good thing I like about Dragon and Cyberhobby, you know, some people would rather not have the extra parts. I actually don't mind them. It's always, you can never have too many spare parts in my view. To always sort of either look to improving other things if it's a better part, or just to do a bit of scratch building. Now here with the soldiers, again, I find these is just as good as any of the modern stuff out of Tamir. Maybe not as good as the Gen 2 stuff coming out of Dragon, some of the slide molded stuff, but in terms of doing these up and painting them, they're going to look fantastic. I think it's the subject of this, rather than just having some soldiers there, which make it quite good. You've got the hoods for their jackets, reversible coats, very well designed and layered moulding here for their pants, helmets and water bottles and all the extra gear that they're going to carry, and you've got, you know, I'd say fairly well moulded upper bodies. Look, I have seen better from Dragon recently, just slightly better though, but these are, you know, all comparable with major brands like Tamir and Masterbox, considering that this is an older kit. So I'm actually looking forward to doing these guys up and having a go with the paint and see how well we can get it. So keep your eye on that. As I go through it, I'll put some images up on YouTube about the build. Lastly, we've got the old Magic Track, 2 colours, 2-tone. Again, these are quite well done. I don't see really the need, unless I make a real mess of it, I don't really see the need to go to full model. So I'm going to give that a go first, see how it works, see how it goes. If it looks as good at the end as I can get with Frill, I'm going to stay with these, save myself a bit of money. Frill tracks down in Australia here are on average between say $40–50 for a set, not including postage. So if you end up getting it sent out from overseas, it can cost you a little bit more. So for that, I can actually get another kit. Standard sort of Cyberhobby sort of decals, you don't get a lot. It's really for that one paint job, the Samland job. However, you know, I've got heaps of spares and different transfers and arches, etc. that I can use. And of course you've got PE on the back here as well, again mainly for the air intakes and for the just the aerial holder on the rear end of it. So overall, great kit. You know, I always look out for Cyberhobby stuff. I find it's great value, and they have some very interesting subjects. I've got a whole lot of others sitting out in the garage there to have a look at, and keep an eye on there for review. I find that the subjects that they make are very interesting, and when they combine it with some extra things like soldiers and magic tracks, it actually comes up a bit of a treat of a kit. You know, then I use my Dragon, the Dragon kits to sort of round out my collection. So I hope you've enjoyed it today, the review, and keep an eye out for more reviews, and keep an eye out for some of the builds that'll go up shortly. Thanks.